awesome. Hi. What is that seat? I have kids and I don't have a bike.
Truck or something. They sell it on Amazon. They're different ones. There's some that are gated too.
Oh my God.
With the quick release, and it's perfect. And it's super light. Like I carry it every day with me, and then wherever we go on a bike.
Oh my God.
And
Wait.
it's not Taika truck or something.
Taika truck? Or something? Sorry. Wow, that's awesome. Thank you. So, started a little late here, like 50th Street. But, wow, so the Taika truck, or Ica truck sells on Amazon is an attachment. It attaches onto the seat post of a city bike and extends forward and creates a second seat for a toddler, for a child, to sit sort of comfortably between you and the handlebars. Wow, that's really cool. I basically have never seen that in a while, and it sounds like that woman back there uses that all the time. That sort of changes the calculus of buying a very expensive bike if you could just use city bike and throw your kid on it. But it's obviously different. Wow, that's a really cool product. I'm gonna have to look that up and get it. You can see there see, two things to talk about. One, scooters and non-biking modes, and the sort of proliferation of all these kinds of other modes. Okay. Oh, there's a guy with a GoPro on his handlebars. So just saw sort of a couple of scooters, electric scooters, and one of those like one wheel situations that just you fit between your ankles. And it's really low. I've tried those and they're super fun. It's kind of hard to ride or get used to up front, but like definitely like the kind of thing that if you are pretty savvy on those things, it's gotta be a ton of fun to just sort of speed through little areas and, you know, in that way. Yeah, basically I think my view is kind of the same as the Netherlands, which is like basically welcome all active modes of transportation, and as long as they're at reasonable speed and not too big, then sort of everybody is welcome on these paths. Oh wow, look at this. Electric assist. Looks electric. He's just, yeah, that's pretty cool. So like in Amsterdam, you see definitely see a lot of like mopeds, a lot of two-wheel scooters. Wow, another one of these guys. That's the, I don't know what it's called, Bike or Workaday, something like that. You say cargo bike in New York City, that's generally what people think. They're like, oh, you bring your cargo, your kid in the back of the bike. It's sort of a big sort of system like that. So like, yeah, you see mopeds, you see gas scooters, you see electric bikes, electric kind of two-wheel vehicles. In Amsterdam, it was not uncommon to also see these like really tiny, almost like one-person cars. They were fully enclosed. They looked like just tiny little cars. They looked like you could probably, you know, maybe two people could probably flip it and just like flip it upside down, you know, or like carry it somewhere. And they actually drove onto the ferries. I think that's also a good like barometer of what vehicles are allowed, because it's a mix of people. It's a mix of vehicles. So you have bikes, motor scooters. Occasionally you see a skateboard, like an electric, one of the electric skateboards. Although those were not very popular. It didn't seem like too many people had them, but these little cars also would just drive right on the ferry. You know, they must be very, very light. They go fairly slow, but they would definitely pass you on the bike paths, but, you know, never really felt uncomfortable with them nearby. I know people, and electric wheelchairs, and electric recumbent bikes, anything where things that were particularly set up for elderly or, you know, people with mobility problems. You know, I think one thing that is missed in these debates and these community board meetings, every time it's always this argument of, well, how am I going to get to the hospital? And what about the elderly people, the infirm, who like can't walk very well? And it's like, yeah, no shit. They need really good space, not giant streets that are impossible to cross. Like, it's a really weird thing. They're arguing against things like shortening the distance between intersections to, you know, to cross. So you reduce the crossing distance when you do things like bulb outs or protected bike lanes and concrete medians and things like that, where you have these like concrete islands in the middle of large streets. So you have a space where if you're slow, you can only walk so fast. And it's challenging. Like, how else are you supposed to make it? One of the worst things, we should never ever have situations where older people are killed on the street, because it basically is it's a failure of our infrastructure on that. It's the absolute worst. These are the people most vulnerable to things like, wait, do you want to cross? Okay. Okay.
We're supposed to be.
And that's like, you know, it's like when children and elderly are killed in these car crashes where they hit them in the crosswalk and something like that. And it's just awful. You would think that that would immediately trigger, okay, like literally the next day, we are going to pour concrete, make a median, change the walk signals to give you more time, put in a bunch of signs, like all the kind of interventions that you might expect if some major, you know, accident or crash or whatever happened in some other industry or some other, not industry, but some other part of life, right? Like an elevator shaft or a building collapse or a crane malfunction or an airplane. But for some reason, when you have any of these kind of crashes with cars and streets, those are basically like untouchable. So it's bullshit. So yeah, so that's my view on scooters. I think all active modes of two-wheel modes are generally accepted and welcome on protected streets, protected bike lanes. We can definitely share with those kind of riders. I think I do get annoyed with the kind of heavy-duty biking crew, you know. So a lot of times you see out here these groups of cyclists. They're like all, you know, in their gear with their road bikes and their like logos on their Lycra, and like, cool, get out there, do your training, and like obviously big fan of exercise, but like they're doing 30-35 miles an hour through these kind of narrow areas where there's an expectation that you're sharing it with people like this who are just walking, and these people don't know that you're coming up behind them at 30 miles an hour. They have no way of kind of reacting. So when you have massive speed differentials, a lot of it just comes down to speed differentials. That's the kind of key part of separating traffic. You know, the rule of thumb, I think, is generally you separate things that are where the speeds are very, very different, you know, where it's more like 10 miles an hour. So you want, if you're going to bike around 10 to 12 miles an hour, you want cars to be like 10 to 15 or 20 miles an hour tops. When you're riding a bike and drivers are going 35 next to you and there's no separation except paint, it means that the slightest maneuver, a driver losing, you know, just kind of drifting a little bit, or as a cyclist you kind of lose your footing, maybe it's wet. I've had that happen multiple times, you know, and I'm pretty good on a bike, and these are city bikes. These are big, heavy, slow moving bikes, but a little wet, you slip, you easily kind of, maybe not totally spill, but lose enough balance to drift a couple of feet. And like, that's like a death wish, right? You have a car going 30 miles an hour right next to you, 25 miles an hour, 30, 35, and you veer into them or they veer into you, you're totally fucked in those situations. And those are just like injuries, right? Maybe you won't die, but you get a limb or some shit run over by a vehicle and a huge amount of damage happens. This is like life-changing, life-altering injuries. this is the kind of stuff where you don't just like bounce back from getting hit by a car in any way. Forget if you're like, I mean, obviously death is bad, but you can imagine near death, like very, very serious injury like brain or paralysis or losing a limb like this woman, this tourist a couple years ago. That's like, you know, I can't even imagine it. I personally have never had anything like that happen to me. I've known people who've been hit and killed by cars. You know, obviously a lot of people who've been injured one way or another, and it takes out weeks, months easily of your life, and it can change your whole psychology. It can change the way you view the world. It can like put you in serious depression. It can do, you know, obviously like acute shit like brain damage and paralysis, and you're never gonna bike again, you're never gonna run again. You know, you have trouble like lifting shit. You have chronic pain. I'm sure, I mean, you look at the crash statistics, and you're talking about like tens of thousands, like 50,000 injuries a year in New York City. Those numbers are just staggering, because if you just look at any one of those statistics and the person behind the number, and you just learn a little bit about their quality of life and how they were so altered, whether it's insurance that they had to deal with, right? Maybe some of these people don't have insurance. Maybe they got hit, but the driver doesn't have, you know, has sort of minimal insurance, didn't really pay for the medical bills. You're in the hospital for a week, you're in the hospital for a day. Maybe you never really went to the hospital, you just had an ambulance, or you just said, no, I can't afford this, and my rest will be okay. You do those sorts of situations. Like a friend of mine, you sort of say no to care and then realize later, you know, that you have a serious injury. And even the simplest, lightest of injuries where you're like, you know, where you're like, oh, I can stand up, I can see, everything works. Or still like, can be really quite serious. And then the serious stuff is just fucking awful. And you don't even wish it on people. You almost wish some of these people, I'm sure they, you know, have to contemplate death in those situations. Like, if you want to live the rest of your life in some chronic, awful pain, you know, I don't know. That's a tough kind of call. I personally have life insurance, and so it makes me feel at least a little bit relieved, like if anything did happen, that my family would be okay. But obviously I go out of my way. You can see I'm taking every precaution I can. I don't do too many risks. I take out of the way paths home. I don't race. I ride pretty slow. Well, I can't ride any faster. And I wear a helmet. I got my GoPro. Narrate my goddamn rides so that you know exactly what happened leading up to whatever might happen. But I'm nearing my 900th city bike ride, and that's a lot. It's not the most, but you know, it's a lot. And never had an accident, never had an injury, you know, never even fell, definitely never hit my head. Close calls. I had one close call. I was in between, you know, on a path that didn't have a bike lane, and going between traffic, parked cars. So I was riding in the door zone, and it's on me to kind of anticipate that at any moment somebody could swing open a door And I think I let my guard down a little bit. And a box truck driver, obviously wasn't even looking, didn't give a shit, threw open his door since the box truck is pretty high up. So I was able to sort of swerve and duck my head kind of to the left. It was like, came out like there. And boy, I mean, I nearly was hit off the bike, you know? And I was like, oh shit, that was close. So here's a guy, JJM. I couldn't read it. It's kind of funny, like, so a car like that probably has a top speed of like 160, whatever, I don't know, souped up 200 billion horsepower or whatever. I'm a muscle car, and I need this to make, you know, to make sure everybody knows something about me. I don't know, it's all painted, it's an expression. Fine, do that. But it should be heavily limited to by speed. You should never be allowed to drive that fast. I think it's 3.2. Let me see. Can't really read it. But anyway, cars like that, I mean, you can hear them from a mile away. They rev their engine. They definitely have very high top speeds. And one of the kind of ridiculous things, the double standards, is that you've got the slowest, kind of least deadly vehicles, which is scooters, electric bikes, whatever, that barely break 20 miles an hour, are so heavily regulated. Everybody's looking at these scooters. God, these scooters should have speed governors so you can't go faster than 20 miles an hour. Meanwhile, you've got cars that have top speeds just out of the, not even modified. They have top speeds of 100, 50, 200 miles an hour. Going this way because this motherfucker is blocking the bike lane. It says Jersey plates. Thank you. Thank you so much. And then number 2, another guy blocking the bike lane. JCL 3441. Oh, you have your blinkers on, but you're checking your phone and you're looking down at his phone, probably watching some YouTube, which is what I would do in that situation. I'd be watching some videos, eating some lunch, some dinner. I'm just hanging out in my little cocoon of silence in this big loud city. It's a loud place. The car provides some solace. Number 3. This is FXA 9654 Sunrise Autoland in his Mercedes. Now you could potentially just pull up here and park it where there's some space. Here we have a taxi sitting way out from the curb. That's number 3, I think. This is number 4, GEH 9400 ETF 6084. I think that's up to 7. 7. I am the Count. I'm Count. I'm the Count from Sesame Street, and I count cars and bike lanes. That's pretty funny. Let's write that down. I don't know, I feel like I need a, oh, clergy. So if you look at this guy's car, he has a clergy sticker. Oh, well. Let's see. This guy, HFK 1320, is part of the clergy. So he gets to do placard abuse because God is totally down with that. God is okay if you park illegally with a placard that you fabricated and steal free parking from the city. Well, actually, you're not even stealing free parking. There is no parking. It's no parking. Nobody's allowed to park. So you are definitely illegal. You're allowed to do something illegal and do it without any consequences because you're clergy and because you made a little laminated placard that says clergy and put it in your window. And that's all it takes to break laws and never deal with the consequences. So that's fine. And we're back on this shitty road. I don't know what to do here. Maybe it's better to go down Manhattan. He does not care about me. He has better things to do with his time. Let's see if I can cut in front here. Hey guys, I'm here. Please don't kill me. Because our bell does a lot. The bell. And the street that wants you to die. It's as if a street could talk and it's like, I don't like you assholes riding all over me. So I have my scaly skin and I'm gonna make it so it's the most uncomfortable ride for you. The most possible uncomfortable ride. If the street was a dragon who didn't like to be bothered by drivers and cyclists and anybody, then this is what it would do. So here's day, I don't know what, definitely a week already that they ripped up this street and have not repaved any of it. So what are you gonna do? Except just, you know, one day at a time, keep moving. All right, I'm gonna check out here. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. This is New York City Bike Talk with Jeff. See ya.